Blackguards is a prime example of why I hate numbered scores. If you look at Steam, the Metascore is listed as 69 out of 100. So, right off the bat, most people would just see this and immediately write this game off. After playing this game myself, do I agree with the score? Hell no. I would rate this game much higher, because it's a very well done game and it deserves much higher praise. Is it perfect? Of course not. Your first couple hours of play will be filled with tutorial screens and confusions, but once you're done with the learning curve, you will have a long and enjoyable experience filled with great storytelling and a battle system that makes you think. The Blackguard is a tactical RPG that is set in a universe of the Dark Eye. Never heard of the Dark Eye until now? That's because you live in a world where Dungeons & Dragons rules everything. Why does this matter to you? Because the moment you hit New Game, you're going to be asked if you know what the fuck you're doing. If you're familiar with the Dark Eye, feel free to spend the next hour making your character. If you don't, just set it to basic and jump right in. This only affects your starting attributes, so don't feel like you're hindering yourself by doing this. However, either way, be ready to absorb a ton of info in your first hour or so of gameplay, because there's a big learning curve with a ton of tutorial windows. Take this gigantic ass wheel of things you can do. This was intimidating at first, but once I got comfortable with it, which really didn't take long, it was fluid and it didn't hinder me at all. But still, it intimidated me, and probably other people as well. Hey, I'm a big boy, I can admit when I was intimidated, don't judge me. Anyway, back to business. The mass amounts of tutorial windows was a huge turnoff for me, because I hate it when the game thinks you're too stupid to figure things out on your own. All of the skills have descriptions, and with enough playtime, you will definitely figure things out on your own, but I could see where the devs were coming from on this one, as there is a ton of mechanics in play here. If you do not know what you're doing, you can hinder your progress and you won't even understand why. Either way you look at it, there's nothing stopping you from hitting close the moment these tutorial windows pop up. However, you're still in for a ton of reading, as there's an expansive amount of talents and abilities you can put your adventure points, the game's experience, into. These abilities run the gambit of skills you can actively use in combat, to passive skills that affect how your character reacts in conversation, to just simply giving you more information about the stats of your enemies. Some of these will be totally useless depending on your personal views, and others will be completely indispensable. You will get a fair amount of adventure points, so making a choice that you will regret later will not feel as though you need to start over on a new game. Like any tactical RPG, everything about combat is based on turns and rounds. Everyone gets one turn per round, and the order everyone goes in seems to be random from battle to battle. The initiative stat that's in this game actually affects this slightly, but I never noticed any real change through my experiments. Movement happens before actions, which means that you can't hit and run, which really adds to the tactical aspect. Depending on what talents you have, you'll be able to see the amount of HP someone has, as well as your chance of landing a hit. This is actually really good information to have when starting out, as there's a heavy amount of RNG in play here. On the more difficult fights, I found myself restarting again and again till the dice god threw in my favor. Can skill reduce the RNG factor? Definitely. Smart positioning and good use of spells as well as the right talent choices can make RNG less of a pain. The one big thing that really sets combat apart in this game, and totally actually eliminates RNG, is the factor of environmental elements. See that pile of rocks? Lure someone into it and dump it on them. See that chandelier? It's a one-shot to anyone standing under it. Spikes with a step trigger? Step on it over and over and over until your enemies are nothing but a shish kebab. The environment adds another tactical element that is very rewarding and fun. Every time one of these elements would appear as a part of combat, I found myself asking, how can I lure someone into that? If there's one thing about combat I would have really liked to have though, is more control over the camera. WASD is used to move the camera around the battlefield, and you can tilt the camera up and down using your mouse wheel. However, you do not have full 360 control of the camera, which means that if there's crap in the way, deal with it. However, this rarely became an issue, and it seemed that they designed all the battlefields with this in mind. I did find myself dealing with this in some awkward situations, but those were few and far between. I also found myself just defaulting to the total top-down view as well. The last thing that affects combat directly that is worth mentioning to me is a lack of equipment upgrades. I think my heavy armor wearer got 4 to 5 chest armor upgrades throughout the first 10 hours of play, and it only really went down from there when you add in the other characters. This might be more of a personal issue because of all the World of Warcraft I've played over the years, and this does not mean that you're never making any progress. You actually get a lot of adventure points, so you're always moving upwards, but I think gear should be a point of frequent upgrades as well, but that's just me. Combat really makes you think, which is what you want from a tactical RPG, but it's not the only thing this game has going for it. The voice acting is top-notch. The actors really displayed a lot of emotion and did a very good job of making me feel immersed in this universe. I got to hand it to some of them for being able to pronounce some of the crap that they had to say.
The name's Zurbaran, from the House of Florios.
Al-An fans can't be trusted. The dragon sent him, I tell ya.
The story itself serves as a reason just to push your characters forward, and it has its ups and downs, but I really enjoyed some scenes. The characters that make up your group are entertaining, and to watch them, especially the dwarf, is actually pretty hilarious. He tends to pick fights for the silliest reasons, which actually can lead to a lot of hilarity.
What bloody palace!
You're rather nosy, little runt.
Runt! Draw your weapon, biggin!
I really like this line, but watch this dude's mouth.
Come here, or I'll break her shapely neck! Crack!
What the fuck, animators? You can do a better job than that. However, what really makes this game for me is the writing. While it's not something I would play the game over and over for, it's easy to tell that it was not an afterthought, and some real love was put into it. This combined with the superb voice acting, and you really got yourself a dialogue that you want to listen to, not just some cutscene that's meant to be skipped. A couple other factors worth mentioning is that there's no direct control of your characters outside of combat. Even when exploring tombs and other locations, you just move around with dots on a map. I personally did not expect this, as I'm used to RPGs with a large map that have random encounters as you move from town to town. This game has a decent sized map, but no random encounters whatsoever. To move from town to town, just click on the town you want to go to, watch a small animation with a blue line and a little bit of fire, and you're there. I actually love this as it kept the game focused on story and combat, and it keeps you the player from having those long, pointless travel times that serve to do nothing but extend playtime and make the game take longer. There are people that talk about how much they hate this because it makes them feel less attached to the characters, blah blah blah. I call those people ignorant and are too attached to other mechanics from other games and are too blinded to see this game for its true beauty. There's nothing philosophically wrong with either way of travel. I just like this one better because it keeps everything to the point, and we deal with travel time in real life. Why do we need to deal with it in the game? By the way, don't let the no random encounters bother you, as there's plenty of fights and you will not feel shorted on experience. All in all, I would recommend Blackguards to anyone looking for a good tactical RPG experience. The combat will challenge you, and the cast of characters will keep you entertained. Don't let that stupid metascore turn you off. Steam currently has Blackguards for $40, and since you get a good 20 or 30 hours out of this one, and it's challenging and fun, I would easily recommend this for that price to anyone that enjoys the tactical experience. Everyone else, grab this on sale on Steam for 20 bucks. You'll be glad you did. On a final note, the loading screen artwork is freaking phenomenal. God damn, look at this shit. Alright, man. That's it for me. My name's Stax. I hope you enjoyed the review. Please let me know any thought in the comments below. Please like, please subscribe, and I hope you guys have a good one. Peace.